explore new worlds, to engage exotic alien people, and to find what Columbus had failed to find. They came into the great harbor, the one you now see dead ahead, searching for a shortcut to the wealth of the Indies. They probed this river, this one right. Our adventure is well begun. Now, if you're on this boat, there's a very good chance you're from someplace else, and should that dinner cruise boats like the Spirit Cruise boat back you in. And throughout the piers, you'd find ice skating rink building with the water tank on the roof. You will see coming into view a tall Gothic steeple with a green pointed roof up on top. This will be the Woolworth building. Opened in 1913, the Thin Bridge in Twin Sister are 16 acres of desolation known as Ground Zero. To your left, North Cove Marina. The large building draped in black as if in mourning with the American flag, the Deutsche Bank, that was heavily damaged when building number 2 collapsed in this one. Looking to your right, beyond that green building, is a marina. That's all that's left of the old Morris Canal, which 3 years ago went many miles further west, a couple of hundred west of the coal field of western Pennsylvania. Now you could bet on it. But before you got on board a train, yeah, it opens New Year's Day, 1892, this Ellis Island, when the steamship Nevada, at sea for 10 days, arrives here in the Upper Bay, back here to that Ellis Island. And on that first day, the first boat's docked. First person off the first boat is a 15-year-old Irish teenager by the name of Annie Moore. She is 15 years old that very day. Happy birthday, Annie Moore. Some of those who have made the journey have come determined that they would never go back. What force draws so many millions from so many places? To watch them come off those boats, you could not have seen that they had anything in common. Didn't look alike, but that the French government was hostile to it. She comes to a birthday party to celebrate our centennial, doesn't arrive on, has a 35-foot waist, a 4.5. She has been shackled in slavery just before we arrive. But as we pass to the far side, look for the right foot, she picks up that right foot. The shackles have Bartholdi inscribed a date, July 4th, 1776. The date on the Declaration is still out. It might not work after all. And this many people from that many places cover themselves. We'll have to wait to find out. We're the first to try. Phillips, Seattle, and overflow St. Louis. Staten Island, connected to the rest of New York City to Brooklyn by that Mahattan's narrow bridge, a bridge long enough that it has to accommodate the curvature of the earth. You can watch it bend with the horizon. Beyond the bridge, the stormy Atlantic. Twice the size of Chicago, bigger than Los Angeles and Houston combined. But that does not expected to survive. Vulnerable to our enemies, and yes, we had enemies. The great powers of Europe had no interest in the survival of this one person, a teenager from Staten Island by the name of Cornelius Vanderbilt Dutchkin. He didn't do it for free. Couldn't afford to. He borrowed $100 from his mother to buy that first sailboat, that first ferry. He did all the work himself, one person at a time, back and forth. Another tunnel right now beneath us, the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, the longest underwater vehicular tunnel in North America. All you can see of the tunnel is that big white octagon tower to the right river. The presidents of the United States arrived. That's been going on since George Washington came here to become the first president. He made the same journey you just did. Across one, you're not supposed to know which one. It's a giant shell game played with helicopters, sort of a big 3-card Monte game. And you didn't know which one had the president on board until his helicopter landed at the heliport just approaching on the left. No, I don't see the helicopters, but you can see the orange-white stripe on September 11th. And it cost them dearly. By nightfall, when they could take roll. Wall Street itself controls about 40% of the world's bank. It is home to the big board, the New York Stock Exchange. It exudes power. Nonetheless, it's not much of a golden age. These tall men to the left. Give Mr. Griswold back his car. Home to sailors around the world. Busiest seaport on the planet, already the megalopolis of that country. 100 years from today, it'll be stroll a few blocks down Canal Street to Chinatown, you are transported onto Mulberry Street, the street of the gods. Once this little cove on the right produced mighty battleships. Today it makes sweet love. Nothing goes to coffee. Oh, but there was a time. Once we get even with the harbor. Determined to build the world's tallest building, put his name on it, and that meant he needed something taller than barred by grain elevators on Midwestern prairies, where it stops, 1,046 feet above the ground. And Crysler had the world's tallest building, UN.
19 acres here on the East River. This is where the 190 countries meet. They're here because John D. Rockefeller Jr. wanted them here, and he made them an offer they could not refuse. In order to entice the UN to move here from Geneva, Switzerland, he gave them these 19 acres, cleaned out the slaughterhouses and the railroad yards that were here before, and apparently an offer they could not refuse. They've been here ever since, mostly since Harriet. That's where you find the permanent party, the clerical staff, the people that are here, signed been there since 1936. They no longer bottle Pensacola there, but the sign stays as a landmark. Here's the cathedral. This he built as a state-of-the-art, humane treatment for people of his country. And there was a time when this district used to once in a while send back to Congress, Republican Congress, John Lindsay. Well, after redistricting, that's not going to happen again. It is still the third most expensive neighborhood. Charlie Chaplin, Greta Garbo, Catherine Hepburn, today Klondike, Kissinger. And for about a year, you were very lucky. You might be over our heads in the one terminal on the right, waiting for the little red shuttle bus to arrive. Once the shuttle bus arrived, he would get off on the Sky Car and head off to Manhattan. Hip-hop, salsa, and rap. Boyhood home of Colin Powell and Neil Simon and others. What else could it be? There it is. Well, you're right. There it is, the Bronx. Oh, Bronx. The neighbor to our right, Red Sox had one. Let me count them for you. Let me add them up. Well, the man who had never missed a day of work, the Iron Horse, Lou Gehrig, 37 years old, out of Columbia University, in the peak of his career, prime of his life. Lou Gehrig was dying, and they knew it. He knew it. And on that special day, Gehrig trafficked a military life. He did not look good in the uniform, and he knew it. And he despised marching bands, partly because Grant was toe-tapped. And if you hang out there long enough, you have a pretty good chance of coming face to face with the original framers, a circular Greek temple. You can see it now next to the flagpole. That's a tholos. It's a monument to the soldiers and sailors, Korea, Vietnam. It has been literally 40 years since the last Great War, Civil War, where you saw the Grand Tomb. That's 218 above the river. Well, you got water pressure about that high, but still we're getting cold. If you'd like to buy a souvenir, picture of yourself getting on the board of CircleLine boat, they'll be ready for you down there. If you'd like to buy a boat, it's been here full bore since about 1952. And just yacht research will indicate that we're coming into service in the 1930s. Titanic weighed in at 49,000 tons.